Good overnight and welcome on in to that said overnight edition of From Day One. Art Bell and Jim Starks are ready to take us through the night, the final section of Alien Encounters and Abductions.
Being excited, and then I knew that they were going to make some kind of appearance somehow with witnesses, again, to make me feel better. I somehow knew that in my mind. They had to project it in my mind. There was a girl, and her back was facing me, and she was standing at the shoreline, too. So if you can imagine, it's two people kind of waiting on the beach, right, and I'm walking up, and I see her, and I go running up to this woman, and it's a young woman, and I go running up to her, and I go, "You're about to see something spectacular." She goes, "Yeah, I know, the sunsets here are beautiful." And I caught myself. I couldn't say that. And just as she said that, a craft appears out of the end of this, here's something that's going to tell you how gentle, I don't think it's sound mushy, but anyway, this craft appears out the end of it, but it's not taking form yet. It looks like a sphere of light, and it's sparkling, and it's vibrating in and out, or reverberating in and out, and it's not taking form. And then it finally takes form way, way up until, again, one of those pyramid-shaped crafts that I talked about. It was like a pyramid upside down and then one on top. I don't know if those ever been reported or you see them. I have seen them on the internet, but that's what my eyes saw. And so we're both, I'm standing next to her, and we're both looking at it, and she says to me, "Is that a UFO?"
Well, you know something, Jim? A half a pyramid from the ground would sure look like a triangle.
Yeah.
And there's something I want to tell you, and I've got a whole bunch of messages here, and this is one of them. Somebody calling themselves Lone Listener. The planet is dying. Same thing they told me, Art. So, in other words, a number of people are reporting that they have been told this, basically the same exact thing, Jim.
And, well, it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me at all because, and again, it's a message you're giving people. Actually, I'm learning over the years that it's a deeper message because I think things may coalesce one day where they may have better memories of what took place. And I think that these people may decide to do something about it. They may have been picked for that reason. I mean, it may not be random that they have them. So hopefully to turn things around.
I would say that the planet is dying is a pretty deep message all by itself. Thank you.
Yeah, it is. But, well, even with this event, I know, I've been asked in the past, do they have a spiritual side? And the only, I never, really go deep into that because I don't really see that. But what I do see per se is that they're concerned for the environment as well. So, but anyway, back to that. This craft appears out of the end of it and disappears. But this girl, unbeknownst to me, had some kind of connection with these things too. And meaning that when it disappeared, she looks at me and she doesn't know me, but she's mesmerized by it. She goes, "It's going to come back." And I said, and I knew too. I said, "Yeah, it's going to come back." And within a few seconds, it appeared no more than several hundred yards in front of us. And it was rather quite big. And now this guy's going ape. And there were no other people to see this when I was out there. It was just us three. Now I'm complaining that there's not more people. And he's going ape over it. He's yelling and screaming. But she's looking at it and I'm looking at it. And then she puts her left hand out there. And with her finger, she starts waving it in. And she softly goes, "Come on. Come on. Come on." And this thing started moving closer. And I'm standing behind her. And I'm watching this, and to myself, I'm going, "Okay, you can go away now. You can go away now. I mean, thank you for the demonstration." And then it disappears. So it either moves fast or not. So, yeah, this thing blinks right out of the sky. But it made me feel better. It made me feel better,
All right. Hold tight. Hold tight. We're going to take a break, Jim. Jim Sparks is my guest all the way from Australia. Opposite side of the dimming globe. The smokier globe. This is Dark Matter. I'm Art Bell.
The Prime Directive disallows dark matter contact with emerging AM world life forms. However, as an extraterrestrial client, you are cleared to call 855-REAL-UFO. That's 855-732-5836.
Emerging AM life forms? Hi, everybody. My guest is Jim Sparks. He's calling from Australia. So if you notice that the line sounds a little less than usual, why, that would be the reason, all the way across the world. And unfortunately, we have no Skype connection. So back now to Jim. And Jim, you said at one point you discerned that there was a meaning even deeper than the state of our world, that our world, in effect, was dying. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure, because it just gets better and better and better, and for me, and then all these things were coming, that I wanted, and to make the relationship better, and so now I have another scenario that took place, really right on the heels of what I discussed, and this one particular pull. Alien Abduction just led to that, and I was at home, the usual. This time I wasn't in bed or anything. I happened to be sitting up. I was awake, and then all the sounds and the whistles that go with what we call a pull, the hard way, so to speak, started taking place, and I found myself. Which was really different about it, because normally, as you heard me say earlier, when they pull me, it's the point where I black out and then I appear. So I know it's happening, I black out, and so at point A, I black out, and point B, I regain my consciousness. But in this case, particular case, they allowed me to see where the meeting place was going to be, which wasn't on board. And so when I regained consciousness, I was pretty high in the sky, and it was at night, and yet there was enough light for me to see, and below me was what I could see looked like an abandoned carnival yard, where it wasn't well maintained, and I could see a semicircle of rather large alien beings that I had never seen before, because they were huge. Even from way up there, I could see they were bigger than the little grays I was talking about. And this was completely different. So now I get to see it. And as I was getting closer towards them, then I black out. When I regained consciousness, there were probably about 10 of them standing in a darker area. You could see their framework. You can see they were probably 7-8 feet tall, unlike anything I ever saw. And they were kind of scary looking at first. But then on all the years that I've been through this, I learned just don't be afraid. Because, you always come back flying. And they were in the semicircle, and then the one closest to me, which I was standing outside the edge of it, they put a hologram in front of his face to make it look like a person, even though you could see the bodies were huge. And and it was kind of funny in a way, because when he was communicating, or it was communicating, the other 8 or 9 or wherever number it was that were looking at him, you could tell as if they were a group telepathic message coming from one being, as if they were looking at one, and then the one was talking, and you could see this mouth moving with a human face. And the first words were, "We would have just given it to you, but you wouldn't have understood it that way." And I knew that meant that I didn't get to have the knowledge that I know that I talk to people about. This isn't my work. I'm a business person, but I spend a lot of time doing this, and I'm in different places in the world. I'm in different places in the United States, and I spend a lot of time on this, to get out, what some of the things I'm about to go over now, what took place in that event. And they basically, I'm going to give you pieces of it that are important, because it went on. This thing went on for over an hour, word for word. It got into my personal life. It was advising me on where to go with this, but the main thrust of it is that they claimed that, and I think it explains a lot about 60, 70 years ago when we the first nukes came out.
Right.
As you probably know, that was an era where there were a lot of down crafts, We were finding alien cadavers. There's hearsay that we, captured live aliens and all of this stuff going on, which, considering everything over the years, what I surmised that to be was that when we were exploding nuclear bombs, they were coming in from every direction, and I have a little anecdote. They were coming in so fast and so many that they were crashing into each other from time to time.
Well, I certainly do know that all of this began when we did drop the bomb. When we were testing the bomb, when we dropped the bomb, there was an immense number of UFO sightings, and as you pointed out, crashes. There were crashes. So maybe you're right. Maybe they got in each other's way.
Well, according to them, this is what took place. And I surmise it to be that period. They actually came down and did the right thing. They followed the proper protocol. They went to the government leaders, leaders of the world, and got with them and said, this is what we think you should do, and this is why. And because they're evolved. And they gave them messages that they would like to see the human species evolve. And part of evolving is to clean up our old backyard, so to speak, so we can join the galactic neighborhood. So that's the positive aspect. That's what I mean about this. So we can be part of what this cosmos, this galaxy, this universe has to offer, because there's action going on all the time out there, and we're not a part of it. And so they said what they did was, when they came to these people, that they exchanged. We said we weren't ready. That according to them, this is what I was advised, that our people aren't ready for this, and that we would need time. And so agreements were made. And according to them, there's not one single agreement that we ever kept. When I say we, I mean the people at the time in charge up to this day. They said that they wanted to stop nuclear, and I don't know why they were so specific, in biological weapons. They didn't want to see that anymore. And, we were in the forefront. So I'm talking about America. I'm talking about USA. We've seen, in my time, I've seen different people from different parts of the world, and, either Hispanic, and I've seen Asian, and I've seen, in all these abductions. So, but we were the people on top of that at the day. And in exchange, they gave technologies to better this planet. They were they could be used to clear the skies, take the toxins out of the water, just advanced stuff.
To whom was this technology given?
Well, they didn't say names, and they didn't point fingers, and they didn't say specific names. But it graduated to be what we would consider the darkest of the black op today. So those are the ones. In my experience, you've got three forms of government, and this is how I see it. This is how Jim sees it. We got the government at face value, the one that we deal with every day. The general public does.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but you said, this is how I see it, and this is how Jim sees it. Who's Jim?
Jim is me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I thought you were referring to somebody else. Okay.
Yeah, the other Jim, yeah. No, it's me. So I see it as how Jim sees it. All these years, and I surmise it to be so, but it's sensible, because you have this government that we deal with every day at face value. And that's the normal government that people deal with. And I would say that 99% of them are clueless to this. You may have 1% that knows something, but most of them don't know. And then you got what I call your second form of government, which isn't quite at the black op level. These are the ones that collect relics, collected down crafts, back engineer things, and from the crashes and so forth, they may even have cadavers. Who knows if they even have an alien? And they think they're on top of this phenomena, and they think that they're the top secret of the top secret. But as it goes on, you have this other group, which is the blackest op of the blackest of the blackest. And they are the ones that know everything. They're the ones who have hands-on, and those are the ones that are still communicating with extraterrestrials, in my particular case, the ones that I'm talking about. And, so there's an interaction going, and here's the message as it went, that when they came to people, as I said, these things later on formed. They came to the leaders and they exchanged the technology for us to do these things, and we didn't do a single thing. And unfortunately, these were their words. That it just makes you somber, but that people have been discredited, named, and killed in order to keep the secret. And then they were clear to say, our hands had nothing to do with this. And they turned around to say that when they gave the technologies, what we did with it, instead of taking the technologies and removing the bombs and removing the weapons and everything, is that we made more weapons and we made money.
Well, all right, I have a comment here, Jim. If they had studied us halfway properly, they would know that giving this technology, this important earth-shattering technology to the Black Ops people would be the poorest decision they could possibly make.
I can understand that thinking in today's view, because back then there wasn't a Black Op. They were actually coming to leaders of the world, and however that they did, these other things were formed. Now, that's totally understandable, and what you just said, but then again, you're dealing with people who have no clue about these things. Here we are in the 40s, and, that kind of stuff isn't going on, so they're only going to the heads of whoever the movers and the shakers are and the leaders of that day who are clueless to this stuff.
Yeah, and we're dealing with people that can read minds.
Yeah, well, I think what it is over the years, Art, is they want us to meet them halfway, and I think the way they are and the advances their cultures are, that I've figured out, and I mean, it's clear to me that they just can't come at face value networking. I think it's part of a program to get us to realize what we're doing and bring us there. Just like, these experiences have been with myself, and even they started saying we would have just given you this information, but you wouldn't have understood it that way, so I had to go through something. And I think in the bigger picture, they have us to go through things, and it's a positive thing, even though a lot of negative things take place for positive things, because human beings, we mess up. And
okay, but I mean, really, we were told, Jim, to be wary of the military-industrial complex, right? And that's who they gave it to.
They gave it to, I don't know if it was particularly military at the time, but it has become something like that to this day, and we all know that. And they're saying that people were hurt for this reason. Now, here's what they expressed, and then you can, you can use this how you see fit, because I come across, I'm not a journalist, but I come with a journalism perspective in the sense that I can only tell you what I see. I'm not a scientist, but I do take a logical science point of view, and I like to see this stuff as technology and science, so I don't get caught up in, it may be demons, this, that, and all this other stuff that comes out because it's proven itself to be not.
Yeah, you can only say what you know. Yeah.
And so, with that being said, the technology was used for these reasons. Now, what they're claiming is that there's over the years, that there's a majority, there's a growing number in these groups that would like to come out with this information, that hoard this information. And, but it's a simple thing. And according to them, they're afraid. And they're afraid because crimes against humanity have been committed. And if you come out and say, okay, we have these things and we'd like to come forward with some of them, and the things that they did to keep it secret, they're obviously going to go to jail, and who knows, they may be prosecuted, and they could even possibly be executed for the crimes against humanity. They're afraid. And so they advised a simple word, which is called amnesty. Amnesty. And
in what context?
Well, it's not for spiritual purposes, but for practical purposes, create an avenue for these people to come forward and not be prosecuted.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
The people that were given the information.
Yeah, and to this day, what we're doing to keep it secret. And it's tied to a lot of things, and all these things have to be figured out. So, in my sense of it, that to me, amnesty is obviously a law that needs to come into effect, and it's a law that's a high law, a high law in our
say is you better get the Australian government interested in this whole thing and offer amnesty, because we can't even agree on a budget back here.
Well, anyway, I like to see us be in the forefront, which is America, because I'm an American. I guess I'm a little undecided about that. I can't help myself. I'm not, that's, you know what I mean. But, and so, that's what they put out for that to happen in order for these things to come out. And so now, we've got different campaigns going on, which make things very difficult for this. And I think, we all want to see disclosure, and disclosure is something where they can come forward. But I think you can work hand in hand with the disclosure movement, with the amnesty movement, because disclosure is saying we want the answers, but in a sense, I don't think they're going to say everything. And I think amnesty would, create that. And,
sure.
And that's the meaning behind it. So that's, the message I give, as I go all over the place, for the amnesty.
All right. Well, that makes sense. But again, I'm very concerned. We're in a country right now that's basically, the only word I can think of is dysfunctional. Maybe that will change, Jim, but I'm less hopeful every day.
Well, I understand it's a mess. It's a mess. Nobody can argue that. Definitely.
Did they tell you anything else that would be useful? Like, for example, our planet's dying. Are there timelines? Is there anything else we can know about how long we might have?
Well, they don't give dates. They don't say times to me. They have it at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And if they did and they wanted me to tell people, I would. But I don't know of anything like that. But I can tell you that they give hints and tips of things to come, which are neat. I think if we get the information out, like they wanted us to do 60, 70 years ago, that this world would be beyond our imagination and would solve a lot of problems. And so I mean, there's been it would resolve a lot of problems anyway. So some of the tidbits that have taken place that are kind of neat is, as time has gone on and over the years, my interaction with these beings are completely different. And now I've learned that there are campaigns which things are taking place right out, from under our noses, so to speak. And I get involved sometimes with them. And one of which is one of my favorite ones, is that they actually, there are human beings who are raised somewhere else. They're not.
All right. Here's a question for you that was bound to come, Jim, and people reflect back on the box that you talked about, and they ask, do you have any physical proof of all that happened to you, or anything that happened to you? Was there any physical anything?
They don't let me take anything back with me.
Didn't think they would.
So, yeah, and that's the way I have to go forward with it. And so, yeah, no, they don't.
Okay. All right. Hold on, Jim. What I want to do here is I want to open the phone lines. This is not going to be easy. I want the audience to be able to ask questions, but because of the nature of the connection that we've got to Australia, it's not going to be easy. So I'm going to take a little bit of an early break here. And, boy, that's a weird noise, isn't it? So if you want to call, the lines are now open. We're going to open them all and begin to take questions for Jim Sparks. I'm Art Bell. That is the number. Now, I sort of want to lay this out for you. Because of the nature of the phone connection that we've got with Jim to Australia, you're going to have to, Jim, you're going to have to be quiet while I take the question. And then, caller, you're going to have to get the question out right at the beginning, just sort of issue the question, and then I'll leave the line, and Jim will answer the question. It'll have to be sort of a cooperative venture here if we want it to work well, because of the nature of the phone connection. I'm sure you can all hear that. So Here we go. Let's take a call right up front and say hello. You're on the air with Jim Sparks. Hello. Let's see. That would be in Mississippi. Patrick. Patrick, are you there? Going once, going twice, gone. All right, let's go to Canada and John. Are you there, John? He looks like not. Hello, John. Are you there? John in Canada. John in Canada. No. Okay, maybe we've got something going on here. Let me try one more. Let's go to Arizona and Beverly. Beverly, you're on the air with Jim Sparks. Maybe. You're not on the air. That's interesting. Okay, folks. Well, something's going on with our connection here, obviously. And I'm not sure what's going on. Let's try again. Arizona, Beverly, are you there? Okay. Let's check a connection here. Love this. I love it. Okay, let's go to here and try it again. Arizona, Beverly, are you there? No, you're not, but I'm going to keep trying. Sorry about this, folks. It happens. Let's go to Illinois and say, Gary, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, Gary.
Yes.
Good. What kind? Hopefully you have a question for Jim Sparks.
Yeah. You know the book, I believe it's William Cooper, or Behold the Pale Horse?
Oh, yes. Cooper, yes.
Yeah. A lot of that coincides with what he, said in the book, which I got on DVD and listened to it. I'm a truck driver, of course. And about the aliens coming in back in Eisenhower or whatever, and coming in and, we've been interacting with him ever since then, and it's been all hush-hush. But a lot of that kind of coincides with what he's been talking about tonight. So I'm just, it's wow.
It sure does, Gary. All right, let's put it to him. Jim, he's right. There have been many that have carried similar messages, right?
And, well, actually, judging from what I've seen, there's no doubt. I mean, as far as I know, I'm one of the few, and I don't want to say the only one because I don't have a big ego. I don't have an ego here whatsoever. But as far as I know, I'm probably one of the few human beings on the planet that I can see these beings face to face, and they communicate with me. And as I was mentioning earlier, that hey, this has been going on over 20 years, and it took years for me to be able to understand their nature. I mean, just simple things about them is they don't like questions. They only want to tell you things when they want you to know it. And it's not that they're Gestapo, so to speak, but I'm constantly really, really very careful when I think about a question I might have, so I know that I can come up with something positive. So. It doesn't surprise me that other people have experience in this. So, I wouldn't doubt it.
All right. Let's go to Daniel in Indiana. You're on with Jim Sparks. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you, Art?
Just fine, sir. Go ahead.
I was wondering, are the aliens or the Greys, per se, unisex?
Actually, that's a pretty good question. How about it, Jim? Are they unisex or what?
I've never seen any genitalia. And that's one thing I can say. And meaning that I have seen them, one has to wonder if they're wearing something skin tight, which I don't think it is. I think they go around with no clothes. And the Greys just don't have clothes on, the ones that I've seen, and I have never seen genitalia. But now this is something that's taken many years, that I've always felt like I was dealing with the male of the species all this time. And there was one particular event, and one particular event only, where I saw a Grey that definitely had feminine features, meaning that it was thinner. It telepathically came across softer. It touched me in a gentle way, and I thought it was a she. So how they, reproduce, I have no idea. And so,
okay, but nothing obvious.
Yeah, nothing.
Okay, here we go again to Los Angeles and Mark. Hi.
Hello, Jim. This is very interesting content you've been putting out here tonight, and it rings true for me. So if it is true, it strikes me that disclosure is a huge thing. And it would clean up, if we could get the technologies to clean up the planet and get affordable energy, this is huge, right? So why not start negotiating with these guys and bring in more people and just bypass the leadership of the planet because they're belligerent, right? Get people to go with you. I would go. Could you do this? Could you work on different ways to communicate with these guys and perhaps start introducing a mass of people down here to them?
Jim?
Well, I like that question, and the depth of these is still beyond a lot of my comprehension. But yet, there's a connection there that signals to me why they're doing it the way they're doing it, and which is they would like to see us meet them in the middle, so to speak. So it's not that such as just to take over the planet, so to speak. So they want to meet us in the middle. And part of that meeting in the middle is they want to see us move forward. I think, and as you said, it's a fantastic thing with disclosure. We can get the disclosure, we can get the amnesty, full amnesty where they can come forward. I think, that would break ground beyond anything, because now you've got the people who are there. Here's how I see it. You've got people who are hands-on. They know as much as this technology as the aliens have given them, and they're keeping this stuff, they're hoarding this stuff, they're keeping it to themselves. So if you can imagine how it would bypass all the red tape and all the bureaucracy and all the other things that go on with government control, so to speak, even though it would be law, I think amnesty should be a law in effect to protect them. Then they're going to say, hey, we've got this apparatus and we've got this one, and this one can do this, and we can travel from point A to point B. We can transverse the universe with little to no time passing, and we can do these wondrous things of energy and all the things that can come out. So there's probably a lot of thought in their mind behind it that I'm sure that there is.
All right. Listen, your story is absolutely incredible. It's detailed, and if you're making it up, it's just beyond me how you would make this up, period. But I've got a question for you. It's not a rude question, Jim, just a question. Would you take a lie detector test?
Well, no one's ever asked me that. I have nothing to hide there, so I don't think that lie detector test would say that I was lying or not telling the truth to answer your question.
That doesn't answer my question. In other words, look, what you're saying is so important to the world, so important to people. And people are sitting out there digesting what you're saying tonight and probably saying, it sounds good, it sounds right. But if you came back with the results of a lie detector test and it said you were being truthful, boy, oh boy, would that, add a gigantic weight to your story.
Well, I wouldn't object to it. And, this is how I always come out with this. I know that what I have to say, there's going to be a tremendous amount of people, and this is what I've learned over the years. Right. You're going to have people that are going to throw, eggs and tomatoes at you.
Oh, yes.
Say this is phooey. And
well,
actually,
you know the story, right, about incredible claims and all that? Requiring incredible, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I respect a lot of that, because it wasn't too long ago, well, it's been a long time now, that I would have been the same way until it happens to you. And so, but what has surprised me over the years is that it's kind of a popular thing to have me when I speak, because I'm finding out that people aren't as critical as I thought they would be, and they're not coming out that hard. So, almost all the time, I'm going to get,
No, Jim, it's a good message. It's an important message. And as I said, it would add a lot of weight to what you're saying. Tony, in Utah, you're on with Jim Sparks. Hello.
Hello, how you guys doing tonight?
Really well.
Okay. I'm an over-the-road truck driver, and I've got a couple questions. One for Jim. When was the last time that you went up? That case is the year.
Okay, we're not going to be able to do this multiple question stuff, but let's have them at. When was the last time that you were pulled?
Well, the interaction has been going on up to the last few months, so it's a regular thing. It's not the same anymore. Look, I don't want to sound like I'm plugging the book. I am plugging the book in a lot of ways, and I just want to get this out now.
Go plug the book. I don't care.
Okay. If you go onto my website, it's jim-sparks.com. And, you look up for listeners of the Art Bell Show. And when I wrote this work in much, much more detail than I have in a 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 hours to talk about it. And it goes into those things in much more graphic detail. And that way, a lot of these questions can be answered. And that's the reason I wrote The Keepers. And I wrote The Keepers in a way that as if it were you. And what would you do? And then you get to see what I do. And so that's the best. Yeah, that's the best thing I can do with that.
All right.
I have one more question. One more question. Is there a way that you could recommend that they visit other people, other humans? And that's because I'm pretty sure that there's quite a few, myself included. I can speak for myself. I would like to experience something like that.
Okay. It is a kind of a neat question, I guess. What do you think, Jim? If somebody actually wants to be abducted or wants to have an experience as you have had, is there a way for that to happen?
This is the only thing that I know. That they pick you, and I haven't seen it any other way where you can pick them. Not to say that this doesn't go on. I can only talk within the scope of my experience.
All right, that's good enough. Let's go to Indiana and Drew. Hi, Drew.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be on your show. Many Roswells to you, Mr. Bell.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's kind of a dark question. I apologize, but I feel like it's worthy of asking. From the show about 2 weeks ago, there was something being talked about an insectoid race that was supposedly hostile, and I just wondered if he had experienced anything like that. And I'll take my question off the air. Thank you.
All right, no, it's a totally reasonable question. Jim, have you experienced anything other than the Greys and anything specifically that's hostile?
I can speak about another species other than the Greys, because better than 95% of interaction has been with Greys, and then there's this other species that have scales. Now, then people turn around and tell me, well, those are the reptilians. Okay, and then I don't know what they are. I don't know if they're reptilian or not. They just have scales on their skin. And those interactions are far and few between, and that's the only two that I've seen. So I can't speak for any others.
Okay, well, it sure sounds reptilian. So I'll join that echo, I guess. All the way to Tennessee, and Jack, you're on with Jim.
Yeah, I was just calling because I think I've had the same sort of kind of experience, but I've got some kind of technology that it might be good with Jim on about travel. I know a lot of people don't think this is crazy, but on travel it's hard to explain. But like everybody talks about the UFO sightings, how there's no sound. Well, I've sort of come up with a thing with light, travel with light, but I didn't know where to ever go with this thing here. I've had it for a while, but I didn't know if because I think there's keys to exactly what he's talking about, because I know what he's talking about, that everybody's playing with a key that was on this situation, but I've been implanted or something with a key of travel by using light.
Okay, do you know anything at all about implants, Jim?
Only what you know and I know. And I've never seen anybody implanted with anything. And to my knowledge, I don't have any implants in me.
Okay. Do you know of implantation? In other words, you have seen them gathering samples, and presumably you've seen them doing a lot of things as many times as you have been told, to use that term. So you've never seen them doing operations on people? Nothing about implantation.
I've never seen them cutting into people ever before. And, this is something I do know and inherently know, that they can find whoever they want. And I think they obviously have the power to have this sort of information in a powerful way, in technology, where they can pluck anybody that they keep a record of. And how they do it and how they keep record of it is beyond me, because I haven't been shown it how.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go to Patrick in Mississippi. You're on the air with Jim Sparks in Australia.
Hello, Art. How you doing? Been a big fan of you ever since your Coast to Coast days.
Thank you.
I just wanted your guest to clarify on something he said a few segments back pertaining to the beach and the sighting in the sunset. He had said that there were a couple of people on the beach with him, but right before that he had said that there was a concert and that there were more people and the guy was cheering for the concert. So I wanted him to kind of clarify that because it didn't go with what he was saying.
Okay. Jim?
Well, yeah, I can clarify that now. What I did say was I wish that there were more people around other than those people, that I was hoping that there would be a lot more people, and I kind of laughed about it because, here I am asking, I would like someone to witness this with me because it would make me feel better as a human being, and they did just that. So there wasn't any more.
Okay. Very good. Okay. 855-REAL-UFO is our number if you have a question for Jim. We're going to, let's see, I'm not sure where we're going here. Hello there. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, hi. You're on the air.
Hi. Manny Roswell, so you are.
Thank you.
I've just got two quick questions, and then I'll flip out there because I know other people want to call. One question is, I was wondering what the life expectancy was, and the second question is, do they communicate with, in other languages? And I'll leave it at that. Let him answer. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Life expectancy.
Well, to the best of my knowledge, I can't say, but I can say from what I believe to be so. So let me clarify that I believe that they probably have figured out a way to conquer dying. And that's just me saying I believe it. They've never come across and say that we don't die, we never die, or anything like that. But judging from everything I've seen, Art and whoever's listening out there, I think that's very, very a possible thing that they've conquered death. And I think that in itself would be so phenomenal if that's the case, for us to be able to have a gift like that, have the technology to know how to do that.
All right, how about language?
This is a language. Let me finish the statement. What I know about them is that their minds can think 10 to 100 times faster, and they have to store a lot of knowledge. And they just see things changes, and they see species move and everything like that. And they got so much information. And so, again, if we can go on living, we can learn from a lot of mistakes. And as far as language, it kind of broke up on that last part of the language question.
Well, do they use any other languages? I would imagine with telepathy, it doesn't matter.
I haven't ever heard one speak, and it's only been in English in my mind. Whether they use it on other people, I can't say for sure. Maybe they hear it in their language. I would think they do.
I would imagine telepathy isn't really dependent on language, period. All right, you know what? I'm going to try Skype. I've got Andrew on my Skype line. Are you there, Andrew?
I am, Art. It's good to be back on the show. Long time no speak.
Where are you?
I'm in Australia. I spoke to you yesterday.
Yeah, that's right, of course. All right, well, it's Australia and then back to Australia. How weird is that?
That's right. I just wanted to ask your guest, how long was the longest period of time he ever spent with them? And if he did they feed him? Did he need to go to the bathroom? Just regular stuff like that.
Okay. Longest period of time. Thank you very much, Andrew, by the way. Longest period of time.
Many hours at times. And no, I never got to use the bathroom because I never got the urge to use the bathroom for whatever reason it may be. And as far as what was the other point in the question? It was the bathroom and something else. No, but I would certainly like to see what the food would be like. But no, they've never offered any food.
Could you give us an idea of the kind of time that these pulls involved?
Some of them, over the years, particularly in the early years, I would say had gone well over 6 hours, 7 hours, well over 6 hours. And those are not the normal. And that was in the early stages when they were working on me hard and, to learn what they were. And so, yeah, I was gone a pretty long time. I mean, if you can imagine, 6 hours to most people, to me and you would seem like probably 25. You know,
it sure would.
The circumstances, yeah.
All right, let's go to Lauren in Illinois.
Hey, what's going on?
Well, at the moment, you are.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Roswell to you, pal, and hello, Jim.
Okay, he's not going to be real responsive. Just go ahead and ask your
question. I was wondering if Jim ever had experience where the Greys made him move objects with his mind, you know, like telekinesis or whatever, and if he got it wrong, were there any repercussions like headaches or pain or anything like that?
That's two questions. Something about headache and pain.
Oh, no, I was talking about, did they ever make him do any tests where he was moving any objects with his mind?
Yeah, I got that. All right, I got that.
And if they were getting...
hold on a moment, please. Telekinesis. Jim, did you observe anything moved with the power of the mind?
Yes. I can say yes to that because there was a time that they used a technology where I could use my mind to move objects, and to be specific without going into a lot of detail because it'll take too much time. On the table, it had led to this. It was working with their technology through their minds, into my mind, to actually do things, and it was fun. These are the kind of experiments they worked with, and these are the things they showed me anyway. It crescendoed to this. There was something the size of bigger than a marble, an object the size of a little bit bigger than a marble, like a ball, a small ball, a cube about the same size, 4 sides to a cube, square, and regular square. Anyway, and a pyramid-shaped object, the same size. And so when I was learning, what they wanted me to do was move the objects on the table through their ways of doing things. And I found it easier to roll the ball. It was phenomenal. So I just think the ball rolling, and I look at it, and the ball would roll back and forth. What was interesting was when it got to the square or the cube, it took more mental focus on my part, and I don't know if they were doing that to whatever reason. And it was the same thing with the pyramid, because that had to go end over end, if you can imagine that. So
exactly, no, a ball makes sense. It's easier to begin to get to move from a force point of view. Lauren, anything else?
Well, it's funny that he said that because, see, I had a friend that always talked about dealing with aliens and stuff like that. And he always talked about moving something in a box. He had these dreams. His dad had these dreams that went back from, like, his family. And he was talking about moving this, like, liquid, metal liquid or some kind of substance in this box. And if he got it wrong, they would give him headaches and stuff like that. And,
I see.
And he told me that if I ever had a chance to call for him, do it. And I thought this was the perfect chance tonight.
Okay. Jim, it sounds like others really have had very similar experiences to yours.
And, over the years, I definitely have picked up on that, definitely.
All right, to Canada, up north, and John.
Hello, just a quick question there for your guest or Jim. Good day, Mike. Did you ever ask them by chance, because I know I would, if they had any hands in the pyramids or the Aztec finds, evidence of them being here?
Okay, did they have any hand in the construction, the design, whatever, of the pyramids?
They've never informed me of that type of information.
Okay. Well, there's your answer. If Jim doesn't know, I guess he's just not going to make it up, and that's a good thing because some guests do that. So it's a good test. Arizona brings Tom. Tom, hello.
Thank you for taking my call. I'm sorry if this has already been answered, but I was just wondering what effect this had on your marriage. How does your wife feel about your abduction?
Very good question.
Well, I'm no longer married. Definitely in those early years, it had a devastating effect on my marriage. And she tolerated quite a bit with it, considering the nature of it. And then she became okay with it over time, over years, and we are divorced. But our divorce isn't the reason for our divorce has nothing to do with these experiences.
Fair enough. I kind of like your answers, Jim. Or maybe I'm saying this to the audience more than I am to you. I kind of like your answers. Florida brings Andy. Andy, hello.
Hi. I have a quick question. With his abductions that he's gone through over the period of years, how does the story compare with Travis Walton, with the fire in the sky, when his abduction happened there? And I'll take my answer off the air. Thank you.
All right. Well, I interviewed Travis Walton extensively. I don't know, Andy, or rather, Jim, whether you've heard any of those interviews, and if so, and or read the book, can you comment?
Well, I mean, I know of Travis Walton because being on the lecture circuit, I've seen him. He spoke with me briefly, just passingly. He was a gentleman. He said a few things to me, and a lot of it wasn't even related to what had gone on with him. And I guess he kind of felt like the same way I did at the time because we were really, really busy. The brief time that he was kind of just wanting to say hello to me and me say hello to him. And that's been my experiences with Travis.
Okay, but no elements of his story that you're aware of coincide so much with what you experienced.
Well, I can't say that it's the same, but obviously, you know, what I know of, and you probably remember, Art, I do my best not to cloud my information that I've gotten directly with other work, even though I have to suffer. Because
right, and I really appreciate that, Jim. It adds to your credibility.
And so, I mean, I know of, you know, when you're at a conference that he was, you know, you know, the things that everybody knows. He was out there. They were workers, and something happened, and he got in the ship, and he was gone for a while, and then I guess they thought he was gone for good, and then he came back and reappeared, and that's what I know about Travis.
Well, yeah, the details of the actual abduction itself in the ship are pretty. I guess the word might be gruesome. It was pretty gross, kind of. All right, hold tight, Jim. We'll be back. We're going to break here. 855 Real UFO. This is Dark Matter. I played this so I would remember to ask Jim the following question. Jim, I wonder, before going back to lines very quickly, we don't have much time left, actually, was there any sense ever given to you of a religion, worship, any sort of concept of God or a maker of any kind? It's a pretty important question.
Well, that is an important question, and the answer is no. And that's all I know about that. And it's never been brought up to me, and I haven't asked. So maybe until then, I can sure share it with you if I can get into that depth with them further.
If you have the opportunity, I would love to have that question put to them. And since you still get abducted from time to time, or pulled, as it were, perhaps you can ask all the way to Canada, and Mike. Mike, you're on the air.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Terrific. Mister, there, I got a question for you there. In regards to the aliens, when you said that their message was to clean up our planet so that it's dying, did it ever occur to you that it's possible they might be trying to do the same thing in the background without our knowledge?
What are you saying? That they are actually cleaning up our planet?
Yeah, like in the background, like when we can't see it, they're kind of helping us along.
Well, one would hope. Jim, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I know that they would like to see us come to a point where it would be in conjunction with them, so to speak, because of the technologies that would be given. And that's the best that I can answer that question.
Okay. Colorado and Lynette. Lynette, hi there.
Hello, Art. I wanted to ask Jim if he could remember what the room on this ship felt like, or what the walls felt like, or what kind of sounds he heard. Was it a metal sound to the room, or any of that?
Okay, sort of a contextual question, Jim.
Well, you know, what comes to my mind first off is the air filtration system in the room, and it was not consistently circulating fresh air at all times. So in the room, meaning that it would start to get a little bit warm, and a little bit almost like a dampish feel. It may be from exhaling, not to say that I was starving for breath, and I wasn't. And then there would be a whish of fresh air coming into the room, and it would be cooler and a lot more comfortable. So that I can say for the feel of the room.
Okay, what about smells? If the air circulation was lacking at some point, there must have been occasionally smells. Do you recall anything?
Well, I mean, I think a little bit of my perspiration was there, and of course, when I described the black box, the gift, right, and that terrible stench that came out of it. But that's been the reason, because extracting that kind of garbage and toxins out of your lungs, obviously, it's going to smell terrible.
You bet. How are your lungs now, Jim?
Well, actually, they're in pretty good shape. I can't complain.
So I take it that you grasped the opportunity with clean lungs to cast away the cancer states.
I don't smoke as much as I used to.
As much?
Yeah.
Okay, well, missed opportunity. All right, to Michigan, I guess now, and John.
Art, nice to talk to you. How are you tonight?
I'm just fine, thank you.
I've got a question, I guess, maybe for Jim and for you, I guess. This is something that happened to me, but he had made mention about fish scales, correct? Was it like skin, or was it something he saw?
Well, he said scales. He mentioned another breed or another type that had scales.
This just a quick story of something that happened to me, and I'm on a riding lawnmower, and I see this fish scale kaleidoscope in front of me, and then it takes over my vision. I try to get rid of this, whatever it is in front of me. I jump off my riding lawnmower, and for whatever reason, this took over my vision. And then there's no recollection of time from when I walked back from my riding lawnmower to my house, which my house is 200-300 yards away from where I was mowing the lawn.
John, we're so out of time. You probably should have tried to mow it down. I'm sorry, we've got to leave you at that point. So one last, perhaps, let's go all the way to New York, back to the East Coast. Mike, you're on the air very quickly.
I just wanted to know, did they ever give him any idea of where they're from, any visuals or anything?
Okay, fair enough. Any idea of the third planet to the right? Zeta Reticuli, whatever?
No, they never once gave me a pinpointed a place that they're from. And I know they have technology that uses other dimensions to travel and move around in, as I mentioned earlier, and that may be a different space and time, but they've never come forward to me to say we're from some particular point in some place in space.
All right, book plug time. I want to give you a chance to plug your book. It's only fair. The title of your book is?
The Keepers. And
get it where?
You can get you only want to go to jim-sparks.com. And the reason I say that is because if you go to jim-sparks.com, a lot of the funds go to me spreading the word about this alien message. And anything I can get from it, that's what I do with it. So any other method is a little harder on me. But, you get it wherever you can. But that's the book, The Keepers, and it's on jim-sparks.com.
All right. Well, you were really a trooper to come on from Australia. I can wish we had a better connection, but here in the latter part of the show, it wasn't all that bad, Jim. So, again, as always, thank you so very much for coming on the program. And, boy, that's some detailed story you've got there, buddy.
Well, thank you, Art, and the pleasure has been mine to be a guest on your show.
Good night. Or good day, I guess it would be, in that part of the world. Well, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. It's going to be an interesting program indeed, and we're going to be getting all the information from Tobias Griff, all the really good info that he promised he would keep just for us. Tobias Griff, tomorrow on Dark Matter. For tonight, ciao, baby.
Thank you to Art Bell and Jim Sparks from October 15th episode of Dark Matter. Before we do go real quick, it looks like with the hit of Super Titans that we got from the Keys, We are going to be able to do one little magic trick here. So I need 48 of these. So there we are, all 48 of them. Let's go back up. I think we may be able to severely increase our team's power. If I calculated correctly. Hyperion. Yep. He is absolute starred. Boom. And we'll give him an extra level. As a congratulations to you, Hyperion. Well, with that, we will bring this day to a close here. As always, please like, share, and subscribe. Get us to the goal of 50,000 views, 1,000 subscribers. So Boxing Extra sends those nice red boxes to send out to you. And Google will go ahead and put us on the algorithms to make us viable. Coinbase, Ibotta, and Game.gg. Get your $10 free plus other items from CoinBase Learn, shopping through Ibotta, and your first 100 credits free as long as you be able to hit up surveys, downloaded apps for your Android or iOS device, watching videos, or surfing the web. And until we do come back on this Saturday, rock and roll, be kind to one another, and release the Krakens as we march along this Easter masquerade weekend here from day one. Have a great night. Enjoy your night's sleep. We'll see you tomorrow.